Today on Plums, we have the fantastic Chris of Curvance. And Curvance is this next generation lending platform with no trade-offs, just better DeFi. Let's get into it. Chris, welcome to Plums. It's fantastic to have you on. Seriously excited to have you here. Now, Chris, obviously, founder of Curvance, and I've got a question for you, Chris. If Vice President JD Vance had cancer, and to save him, you had to give him a kiss with tongue action, would you cure Vance?
Is this on the Plum podcast? What, like, is this live? Is this like
It'll be recorded.
The Black Mirror episode? Just instead of a little different. Yeah. Save the world.
Chris is gonna kill Vance. Good, nice.
It's the opposite of what I meant.
So, look, big dog, so glad to have you in the house. I mean, I've been, excited about you as a person and what you're building for literally years. I mean, we've been speaking for a long time.
Oh, wow.
And super excited to have you on. To be supporting you through Plums, but to have you on here. Now, as you know, we like to play games on Plums, and I just love wordplay. So, Chris, I've invented the Christery test, which is a history test. So I hope you studied history. If not, we're gonna have a lot of fun.
No context on this, so let's
exactly.
Let's go.
This is it for you. Okay, so yeah, no context, no advance warning that you're gonna have a high school history test here, Chris. But this is the Plums podcast, and that's what we're doing. So the Christery test. So first question is about Napoleon. Congratulations. So question number one, and what you got to figure out is it's an either or. So one of these things did happen and one of them did not happen, okay? So you got at least a 50% chance and you're going to have to use your intuition. So okay. Napoleon superstition. So did Napoleon ban the word plum at court because he thought it was unlucky, or did he ban buttons on boots because he hated the sound?
I've been studying a lot of Bonaparte, so I would guess the buttons would be more plausible because I feel like he did, like, he was very opinionated about like language and stuff. I've heard about that. I'm gonna still go with the buttons.
I'm gonna go with you're correct. You got it. Yeah, the plum bit's made up. That was just me trying to get plums in. But yeah, they missed that bit out of the movie, unfortunately. Right. So this one's super interesting. The first fax. So the first facsimiles was the first fax sent in 1843, decades before the telephone, or was it invented in the 1930s as a way to send cartoon images across America?
It was the 1840s. If I remember, that was like one of the things that I learned was like it came before the phone, which was bizarre.
Super weird. Well done. Yeah, I mean, unbelievable. We'll come back to that after the Christery test. So you're 2 for 2. You're absolutely smashing it, Chris. This is just nice. A star so far.
Nice. What's like the normal score people get? Like, good guess.
Well, some people absolutely suck at these quizzes.
It's just a me thing.
Yeah, no, you did really well.
It's my own personal.
Yeah. This is your personal quiz. Yeah, we do different quizzes on different stuff for every single person. But so the question number 3, we got Roman delicacies. So, did Romans eat flamingo tongues at banquets, or did they consume hedgehog stew?
Interesting. I've never heard of either of those things, so this is a plausibility guess. Yeah. My guess would be, flamingo. Okay, so you said it was Romans?
Yeah, Romans. Yeah, flamingo tongues or hedgehog stew was.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think flamingos would be around where the Roman Empire is, so I would guess it would be hedgehog. It's more plausible that there are hedgehogs around that kind of empire area.
Okay, right, nice.
Unless they're abroad.
Yeah, for some reason they did. They have flamingo
where do they
tongues.
import them from?
Yeah, I don't know. No idea where they got them from. No idea where they like them. Okay, we're on to guillotines. So yeah, a little bit more France in here for you for the future of France.
Are there? I thought it was 3.
No, we keep it going. We got 7. Holy moly! Get ready for this. We're gonna spend. Yeah. Sorry, did you think you were here to talk about Curvance? Yeah. Sorry, we're doing history today. Plums.
you said. I thought you said 3, but all right.
So guillotines was the last use of the guillotine in France in 1983, the year of the Return of the Jedi, or was it 1925, the year of John Logie Baird showing the first TV?
Interesting. I mean, I usually think of guillotines from the French Revolution, which was way before that.
Yeah, was it 83 or 25? That's the question.
Yeah, I mean, my guess would be 25 because I feel like 83 would be more in the public consciousness.
Yeah. Well, guess what? The French were using the guillotine as an execution method up until 1983.
Wow.
How mad is that?
I feel like you would hear that more. That's because that's like that's like recent memory.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Yeah, pretty crazy. Okay, so the first email. Did the first email ever? Yeah, exactly. You can bring it back though. I believe in you, Chris. We believe in you. So the first email. Did the first email ever sent say, "Does this work?" or was it just random nonsense?
I'm pretty sure the email's made as part of like was it part of the U.S. Government, like DARPA, created something like that. Does this work? My guess is it was probably. I actually didn't think it was either of these. I thought it was like just a random sentence, but I guess it would probably be gibberish then.
Yes, it was. It was basically the top line of your keyboard, the QWERTY UI op. And it was,
like QWERTY,
it happened by accident. They tried to write something, and then there was a bug in the code, and it got sent as something else. So, yeah, nice. You're bringing it back.
Did you know all this before, or you're just like looking up wacky things online?
I was like, how could I make some questions that Chris is going to struggle with into Google?
Well, you've done a good job. I only so far knew one of these truly, which is the fact one.
So Winston Churchill. So he had a prescription, okay? So did Winston Churchill get a doctor's note for champagne, which was 1 pint per day of champagne? Or did he get a doctor's note for daily cigars to settle his nerves?
I'm pretty sure I've seen like a million pictures of him with cigars, so I would guess cigars, but I could easily see either of those being plausible.
Yes, nice.
Well, it
was champagne. So basically, he visited. The story is that he went to Prohibition USA and needed a doctor's note for the ability to drink liquor, and so he got a doctor to sign saying, "Yeah, I need a pint of champagne a day."
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Which is pretty funny.
That was crucial context. If you said, during this period in the U.S. then you could have made that guess.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, the final one. So, was a dog once elected mayor of a small Californian town, or was a goldfish once elected? Oh, he's got it. He just knows this. This is the level of history that Chris. This is true Chris.
I'm glad that the two things I knew were like the few things I knew was the technical stuff, and then a dog being mayor. I'm definitely a dog person. I respect cat people, but no one's perfect.
Yeah, good, nice. And did you study history? Like, obviously you went to summer high school.
That was one of my weakest subjects. I was always like more, what do they call it, like right-brained, like math, science.
Yeah, okay. And where and what did you do study-wise? Like, did you go to university? You did, computer science or something, or were you just one of these guys that kind of dropped out and was because you were, too smart for it, as it were? Like, how did you approach, your education?
Well, I did drop out. I dropped out of engineering, but then I switched to finance and then did my master's. So that was mainly because if I had at that point in time, I was still in undergrad, and a lot of what I did was very specific. So I worked in traditional finance as like kind of a more conventional like quant. Working. I worked on 2 trading floors actually, and then that a lot of that stuff was very stats heavy and programming and a lot of like math and stuff like that. So I had parts of that when I started out in computer engineering undergrad, and then I really didn't like the problems were very like theoretical in nature.
Right.
They weren't like application based. It wasn't like, how would you solve this thing in like a real life scenario? It was more like theory of logic and, working with breadboards and stuff that to me wasn't like very applicable. So, I switched over. I tried a semester of applied math and did not like that at all either, because it was still very, even though it's called applied, it's still very theoretical. And then I actually talked to a lot of people that worked in, or not a ton, but a few. My dad worked in traditional finance, but in a totally separate capacity. He was more on like the kind of data center construction side and stuff, but he knew a few people. So I got a few conversations with like traders and stuff like that, and spoke to them, and I really liked that they were working on like what felt like more tangible, real problems. So then I decided to go for like a undergrad in finance with a minor in math, because I had so much math in my background, and then ended up doing my master's at Johns Hopkins as well.
Nice. That's really, really cool. One thing that strikes me, and it's something that I've thought about, over my own education, is that the way things are taught can radically impact whether you want to do them. Like, you were interested in engineering and maths, but they were, trying to ram you down a hole that wasn't, a reasonable way of, applying that knowledge or developing
at least for me,
your knowledge.
Right? Like it's reasonable for other people, but everyone has kind of like the things that they find interesting, and that set of problems wasn't interesting to me.
But and what's cool is, would have been a really tough decision at the time, potentially, moving, shifting and stuff. But actually, it's made you what you are now. Like, it's all led to this. Without those things, you might not have been as well placed to be able to develop and build the stuff that you're working on. Now, when we were mentioning back in the history, that fax thing, I mean, that blew my mind that the fax machine was earlier, and how they did it and why they did it, and that it worked and all the rest of it. And clearly it was an idea ahead of its time, and it did have its day, basically 100 years later. Literally 100 years later.
They're still used today. Not as frequently, but, you still have the technology out there.
Yeah. And, but it was, when it came about that time, it was an idea before its time. So it was too advanced for its day. What I want to understand from you, Chris, is do you ever worry that what you're building with Curvance is too advanced for today? Like, because it's so far ahead of everyone else, is it literally too far ahead? Do you ever worry about that or not?
That's a good question. I think that could be tangentially applicable, but more so what I think is there's been, a very heavy like culture, just startups in general, but especially our industry too, about like moving very quickly, like move fast and break stuff, like the kind of adage of like, just make it exist and then you can like improve it later. But that's like very counter to how a lot of the current technology like in our space works, right? Where it's like the whole thesis is like make something that's like immutable and you don't need to change, right? So it's like the kind of ethos is literally the exact opposite of how everything has worked, historically from a startup capacity. So, I think we've spent a bit over 3 years building Curvance from scratch, and I think that like if I had to do it again, we could do it, a fair bit faster. Since there was a lot of like refinement and that little bit of like perfectionism, but I think we've gone a lot better at like not trying to build the perfect thing. Like there are tons of ways where I think we can improve what we've built thus far, but you want to just make it exist right now, and we could always add like a version 2 or refine it over time. So yeah, I think that's like tangentially true. That like kind of maybe we could have launched it faster if we had a better read on exactly the best way to do things, or where the industry was moving, or what other technology would have available, partners, stuff like that. So in some ways, yes.
Yeah, nice. And we'll get into what makes Curvance superior in just a minute. But first, it is time for the interlude, and I need to just give you a heads up. This is a video that I saw last week, and it had me dying laughing. And I was like, okay, I want to share this with more people. And how can I do that? Well, let's get it on the Plums podcast. It's entirely inappropriate at parts, but it just got me howling. And I think you're going to enjoy it, Chris. So let's spin it up.
Hot. 2025.
I hate these videos that are like stitched together.
Is it that? Is it each? Is it that?
Oh no!
Oh gosh!
It's unbelievable.
It's his eyes rolling at the end that just kills me. Okay, good. Oh, good. Right, Chris. What makes this even funnier is, you. Okay, we are here to talk about Curvance a little bit, so forgive me. It's just history and Barry's favorite memes from the internet episode. Okay, cool. So going back to Curvance, so we went over where you studied. You've done lots of jobs after that. Plenty of experience. You could have done anything in the world, Chris. Maybe not everything, but you could have turned your hand to loads of different things, right? And so why did you decide to fix this problem? Why did you go, okay, I can make this way better?
It's a good question. The way I think about it is like I've always tried to work on like bigger and bigger problems. Like what I was saying before, that like, when I started out in engineering, it felt like the problems were very like theoretical and not applicable, right? Like it was like small problems, the smallest you could get, not rooted in reality. Rooted in reality, but not applicable in reality. And I guess like that's kind of been the story of my journey, right? Is like kind of like increasing the size and the scope and the grandness of like the problems and stuff. And I think, trying to work with like programmable money and building tools that, can effectively infinitely scale, right? Like the code doesn't matter if it has one person using it or, 1 billion people using it, right? And I think that in general, it's very unique. One of the things I've been thinking about is, I was born in 1994, so not super long ago. But if you think about like the earliest forms of programming, and like when you hear like statistics of like how weak or small the processing power the computers were when like they had people land on the moon, I actually feel like Solidity and blockchain code and working with all this stuff is very similar in that it's very restrictive, with programs only being able to go up to 24 kilobytes. you have to have like a heavy degree of knowledge of how, the data is stored, the compiler, costs of things, because you need to make it as cheap as possible, but you also need to make it as powerful as possible, code wise, right? Like have it be able to factor in the largest set of information, but not be expensive and not be too big of a program. And I find that like a really, fun problem to tinker with is,
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, like the best piece of code doesn't win, so it's an even bigger problem than that. Not only do you have to make code that, is high quality and works well and is safe and scalable and can factor in a lot of information, but you also have to build kind of like, that's the engine, right? You need to build the rest of the car too. So I think that it's just a really big problem, working in the industry, like with building Curvance, I think the scope and scale of it will just continue to grow and grow as we want to verticalize the product over time. And to me, that was, very exciting. A lot of the work I did before was working with, different models and stuff and trying to improve, either using like, more conventional, like linear, style models, but also machine learning and, like a precursor to now everyone just calls it AI and stuff. Working with those things and trying to like improve like trade execution or, like building a systematic trading algorithm or something like that. You make something that's 2% better, and that's like a big deal, but it doesn't feel like that big of a deal, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I mean, it's good to hear you talk about, the scale of the problem and how, the size of it is actually part of the alluring element as to why you want to, try and improve it. And you said something there about you need not only the best code, but there's, that's just the engine. There's all the rest of the stuff, right?
Exactly.
And Curvance is, the best platform, the best lending platform there is on every technical measurement, right? But that doesn't automatically mean that you win, right? And you said, you said that. Equally, we have seen, dominant players get disrupted in crypto. We've seen, DYDX was leading, and then they're not now. You do see, disruption happen, but you also see, both in crypto and elsewhere, where superior technology doesn't, necessarily win. So tell me, how is Curvance going to take that throne? What's the game plan to you've stage one, build the best product. Stage two, to take the throne, we have to do this. What is that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think in the industry just broadly, you're still in that phase of people having aspirational goals that are like created internally. So what I mean by that is like there's a lot of like, I like cypherpunk stuff and I want to build, cypherpunk things that, emulate those beliefs. I, think that this is the way to do things, so I'm going to build that. Whereas it's a lot of like idealism. And I think in traditional industries, like especially finance is very much like rooted in like reality. Like, how are we going to win? What do people want? Product wise, cost structure wise, it's like fully rooted in the application, right? Like the application of whatever you're building, not like idealism. And there's nothing wrong with idealism, of course. It's just less likely to win long term. And I think that as a team, we've a very unique team. It's much more collaborative, and we're all friends on the team. And I think a lot of companies say that, but I mean it in a genuine sense. There are some people on the team that didn't even want pay initially because they just wanted like all tokens, right? Because they believe in the product. And there's tons of people on the team that could be doing, similarly like anything, right? And they choose to work on Curvance because they believe in it. And I think we're all, rooted in reality such that we can, talk to people who we, view as potential customers and say, like, what do you need? How do we improve the product? And we've gone through a lot of refinement. Like, for example, we're rolling out like a whole new UI, probably like next week. I don't know when this will go live, so maybe it'll already be live by then. But that whole process was something that we saw. We had a lot of people looking at or wanting mobile as like their kind of primary way to like just check on their positions and their portfolio and stuff like that. And a lot of conventional products in the industry are mainly like desktop focused. They might have mobile, but it's the same experience as desktop. So it's like the simple things like that where it's like, okay, well, you want mobile, you want the product to do these things. Like, we've built a really good engine. Let's make sure the rest of the car looks how you want it to look. And, just continually refining that, being nimble, being humble as a team. And, hopefully through that iteration, I think the product will resonate with people. And I think we can, grow off of that.
Yeah, seriously cool. You talked about the team and this culture of being friends. How did you develop that? How did that come about? Was it people you knew already, or people coming in? Like, how often do you get together? Just tell me about how you developed that culture as a team to really enjoy spending time together, as well as working on this this great project and solving these problems that you've seen.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It wasn't something that happened like intentionally. It's just something that kind of happened by happenstance. Definitely several people on the team, I've known for a long time. So they've been like friends from before, Curvance, which maybe is cheating a little, right? In building a culture of, kind of camaraderie. But, I think it's been very interesting to see that like a lot of the people that work on Curvance today, have been around for much longer. I mean, I don't know the actual number off the top of my head, but I think turnover rate is rather high in our industry. And we've had only one person leave to do something else, and he started out of the gate saying that he wanted to bounce between things over time. And we've been building for over 3 years. So one person in 3 years is rather good, I think. And I think a lot of that is around like just finding people that are hungry and believe in the same things we believe in and want to be a part of that. I forgot who said the quote. Might have been Steve Jobs, but he said something along the lines of, no matter what you do, no matter what, whatever he's tried to do, you can't convince someone that doesn't want to work hard to work hard. So I think finding people that just naturally want to work hard, it doesn't really matter if they're the best in their respective role, because if they're willing to work hard, then they could be the best given support, and kind of being brought into the fold. And I think we've seen that happen. All of our team members that we get compliments on constantly for like their skill, or just them being killers in their own respective right. Yeah. Most all of them didn't start out that way, but have through their own hard work, become better and better and better and better at what they do. And I think that's really cool.
That is really good to hear.
That's really how I think it's happened.
One thing that's worth pointing out for listeners, and I'm not going to name any names, but what I really like is both you have, obviously you, in the leadership position, taking this business forward. You've got a fantastic, long-standing team, as you've just described to us. But just on the outside, on the wings, you have some amazing partners. And I get to see, and thankfully I've been able to invest in a number of them. And these guys are so unbelievably smart and absolutely believe, and they fight tooth and nail for the people that they work with. And it's so good to see. I mean, literally, like every couple of days, a Telegram message will come through from one of those partners, the people that you work with. Some unbelievably good companies, protocols that are assisting you, with some level of infrastructure. And these guys are literally at the top of the game, and so to see this kind of this coming together of amazingness is incredibly bullish. Like, and I hope, and I'm sure you do, you appreciate how fortunate you are with having these amazing people helping, and providing you services, because there's loads of crappy operators out there, right?
100%.
And you've got some of the best people in the game, fighting and working to make Curvance be the best it can be, for mutual benefit, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. I think it's interesting that good people tend to converge together over time. So I think that there's a fair bit of like malaise in our industry of like very fast launching products that don't really deliver on what they say they're going to deliver. And we've certainly got burned a ton, believing in and supporting teams that ended up kind of when the gun goes off for the starting line, they take a step or two and then duck out. But I think over time we've developed a strong support structure, is I guess how you could think about it, like teammates, both internal and external. We've built a good group of people that are all kind of like believing that they can build something good. And we were very excited to be a part of that.
Yeah, really good. Now, Chris, we're coming towards the end of this episode of Plums, and so it's the bit that you've been most excited for, Chris. It is how big are your plums, which is what we originally were going to do as truth or dare, but it's now truth and dare. And now
I didn't sign up for this.
But one really important point is, if you can't do it, or you won't, or there's some reason that you can't do it, that's okay. We welcome that, because you just have to do a giveaway to our listeners, okay? So you don't have to do them if you don't want, and we're just going to run a giveaway with the episode.
Scammed that both here. What the hell?
So these truth and dares, they're set by the other founders, the other guests of Plums, and one of them, I'm not going to tell you who it is, has asked you these. So we got the truth, which is, what's a major AI or crypto project you believe is secretly doomed to fail, but everyone else thinks will succeed? So that's the truth, right? And then the dare is one. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do this because I know what it is.
This is like, I feel like I'm in like a Saw movie. What the hell, man?
It is. I want to play a game. The dare is, share your very first ChatGPT prompt from your account history.
I don't even know how I would. Let me see if I could find that.
It's a lot of scrolling, depending on how many you've done.
Yeah.
I know what mine is, and there's zero chance.
How would you remember that? I mean, honestly, I don't think that one's bad, so I guess I don't mind doing both.
He's scrolling down now.
Well, I'm like logging into OpenAI now.
Yeah, good.
So I'm like, okay, let me see if I can find this. Yeah, all right. I'm gonna actually, I think I have to break out Claude because my history does not look active. Actually, maybe I logged in the wrong account. That might be it. It's like I used the login from.
Listeners, what he's done is he's realized what it was, and he's now trying.
That's not true.
Help me draw an anime waifu.
Like I'm honestly, I'm pretty sure it's just coding related, so I don't mind. But I don't have. Oh no, that's not my. Okay, it wasn't my Curvance account confirmed. Because I have like a few different emails.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's safe. Good way of some burner email addresses, yeah, for when you for your spicier questions.
No, it's personal and work email. Learning a lot about your guys' preferences in AI usage here, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not very exciting. Add NatSpec documentation to the following Solidity function. Function traverse chains uint16 chain ID, comma uint256 amount public payable.
Then
Then it added it. Then there's more NatSpec.
Yeah, but nothing spicy. It wasn't.
Well, I could grab you one of the more recent ones that's more like interesting, I guess. Explain the negatives of providing free tokens in order to acquire users due to the efficiency of user retention.
Yeah, so, good. That is literally the question every founder needs to ask themselves, right? Like literally.
There you go. We're asking computers for their opinions as well. And then what was the truth as well?
So it's what's a major AI or crypto project you believe is secretly doomed to fail, but everyone else thinks will succeed?
Okay. So it doesn't have to be, because there's like obviously like AI plus crypto like projects, which I think nearly all of them are. So I think those are kind of like cop out answers. Is again, that's like squarely in the camp of like, like starting at the finish line, taking a few steps, and then ducking out. Like a lot of the like kind of merger. Like crossover. Of industries, crossover. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Those almost always are like, if not scams, they're like very like high level. They're like a wrapper for ChatGPT or something like that. But I'll try to grab you like a spicy one. I think that a lot of these, there's a few of these but a lot of the companies that are like ex people at like OpenAI, to bring it back to your ChatGPT thing, there's been several companies that basically you had like some management, but even sometimes not, just like a senior researcher or something, go out and say like, I'm going to build my own company, and then they raise like these huge sums of money with essentially no product, because like they're raising money obviously to train the AI model, so by kind of definition there's no product there. But I just don't see how these things could ever return on capital, because one, the industry is like so feast or famine. Like you have a few really big players, like Anthropic, like OpenAI, like XAI, I don't know how you pronounce it. And when you look at like these kind of like, I'm someone that worked at this company and then suddenly I'm trying to like compete directly with that company, I think that's like it's not gonna work. And like being able to like raise like billions of dollars, or at a $1 billion plus valuation, kind of disincentivizes really building the thing, because you already suddenly got like you went from making like a few $1 million or whatever at OpenAI, and now you suddenly raised like 200 million at like a $2 billion valuation. Like that's you're not gonna be incentivized to build that product well, I guess. So I think there's several companies like that are rather doomed.
Solid answers, Chris. Look, it's been absolutely awesome to have you on Plums. I know you wondered what this might be like and whether this was going to be a little bit different, and it is a little bit different, the Plums podcast, but I really appreciate you coming on. But more than that, I appreciate, your consistent hard work at delivering and executing at a really high level. You're one of those founders that, for the longest time, I both pursued. I wanted to work with you, and then I'm really proud to be able to work with you because, you're both a very nice guy, and as I say, delivering at that really top level. So really appreciate you coming on Plums today as well.
Appreciate the kind words. Spot. This was a lot of fun, even though I kind of got scammed on your truth or dare. But
really appreciate it. Thank you very much, Chris. Good luck, and thank you very much.
The information and discussion provided here is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Berry is not licensed to provide investment advice and does not offer such. Berry typically holds positions in the project and protocols he discusses and discloses that to you here. Opinions expressed by guests are theirs alone and do not necessarily reflect the views of Berry, Plums, or their affiliates. As with all things, and especially financial matters, please do your own research and consult with professionals where relevant.